You see what we're going to make today? This is Kathy from Crowder's Mountain, and this is Barn Quilts by Mountain Visions. And I thought you guys would love to make this quilt today. I'm using a 2x2 piece of MDO, medium density overlay. And we're going to make the pattern. I'll show you my paints, and we're just going to have some fun making this pattern today. First, I want to tell you again, throw out that Southern biscuit. You know, I've had the facial surgery, so I'm still struggling saying some words. They come out really weird, but hopefully you can understand what I'm saying. Just ask me in the description, or no, in the comments below, if you didn't understand something that I said. Just put it in the comments below and I'll explain it. But anyway, this is a 1.5 squares, and I think you could probably find it in most cloth quilt books and pattern books. This has been around a long time, so I think that you guys will enjoy this. And before I get started on the pattern, you can take a snapshot of this if you want to, but before I get started on the pattern, let me show you this book. Now, I always want to make these videos worthwhile to you, but I found this book. Now, I didn't find it on my own. Somebody showed it to me. But it's on Amazon, and it's 5,500 quilt block designs. Now, I dog-eared the pages of the quilts that I want to make. So, I told the Lord I had to live till I was 150. I'll never get done before then. But anyway, thought you'd enjoy that. It's Maggie Malone is the author, and I love it. That's my favorite book so far. But there's other authors out there that shows you how to make them, and there's a couple out there that I really like too. So anyway, let's get started and have some fun. That didn't twirl right. I can't do it. Let's just make the pattern. Hey y'all, what are y'all doing? This is Kathy, Crowder's Mountain. This is Barn Quilts by Mountain Visions. And I thought today we would do a more simple barn quilt, one that anybody can do. And you can incorporate any color you want to into this barn quilt and it will look good. It's just simple, very simple. It's called a 1.5 squares. And for this quilt, now we're going to make a 24-inch. So if you were doing a 36-inch, well, let me back up. We're doing a 24-inch, and we need 5 blocks. So we're dividing 5 into 24, and that gives us 4.8. But if you did a 36-inch, then you're going to divide 5 into 36 or 5 into 48 if it was a 4x4. So you just scale it up. Or I guess you could scale it down if you just wanted to do a 1x1. You would divide 5 into 12. But let me show you how I do this, and I've saw other people on Facebook groups doing it too. That's the simplest thing to do is just ask Google to show you where 4.8 inches is on a ruler. And that's so simple. Let me see if I can get this picture pulled up for you. I just did it. I don't know if you could see that or not. But I asked, and Google told me, and I didn't have to do a lot of math. Now, I did mark this before I came on here so that I would know exactly. Because sometimes when you're looking at that, it looks like it's right on the line, but it's not. It's like right beside of a line. And that's the way this one is. So it is, let me mark. I marked my ruler so you can see it. It's like, here's the 5 and you count backward 3. And it's right beside of that 3rd mark. So I just wanted to make sure you knew where that was. And it's pretty simple. I mean, it's just not that hard. And I've marked these already, but I'm marking them again so that you can see. And then we're going to draw our grid. And I'm telling you, you're going to be more than halfway through once we just draw this grid out. You'll see. And there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let me get the rest of my marks made. And then I'll come right back. Well, I'll go ahead and draw the grid out because you guys know how to do that. And I'll show you again what I did. And then we'll draw the pattern, which is very simple. Okay, here you go. There's the grid. We've got 5 blocks horizontally and 5 blocks vertically. And now we can draw our pattern. And you notice that I taped down my edges so that I'd quit getting out of the frame. I thought that I was doing that a lot in that other one, so I'm trying to figure out how for that not to happen. Okay, so for this one, you could just use a small ruler if you wanted to, but the only thing that we're going to do now is just start marking off our blocks. And I usually, when I did classes, I would just tell the students to do 1 row, 1 block at a time, 1 row at a time. And that you can just kind of keep up with the pattern a little bit easier. So I'm going to do it in this red, so hopefully it'll show up better on the video. So the first one is just from the top left to the bottom right. And once you see this pattern, you can say, well, I can draw 2 or 3 lines at one time. And you can. And if you're watching this video, you've seen the end results for this pattern. Now this is from my understanding, this is an old barn quilt pattern that's been around for a long time. And now we're going up on the second row. And you see, we could have drawn this, my hand out of the way. We could have drawn this line and this one at the same time. But I'm not doing that on this video, okay? But you can do it. Alright, for this one, we need to find the center of this block, the center of this whole block, each line. We have to find the center. So we know it's 4.8, so that'd be 2.4. That would be where our center needs to go. So there's the 4.8. So I'm saying it's almost in the halfway mark, the 2.5 way mark. So here's where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to go all the way around with that. And you could have done this first if you wanted to. that seemed to me to be easier to explain if I waited till I got there. Alright, so that's all we did. You see those little lines? We made it at, see the 2, and then it's almost at the halfway mark. I could have polished my fingernails for you guys, couldn't I? Been digging in the garden. Well, they look bad. Okay, don't pay any attention to my fingernails. Alright, now for our third block, 1, 2, 3, for that block, we're going to, see that tick mark that we made in the middle? We're going to go from that tick mark down to the bottom of that block. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side of the block. See that? And we're going to go to the other side of our block and do the same thing. See that? And we're just going to continue around here. I made this one for a friend of mine, and she picked out the prettiest colors, and I am gonna send a message to her and tell her that I'm gonna copy her colors for this video because it just turned out so pretty. Okay, so that's what we did. We just marked at 2.4 all the way around that middle block, and we just took our ruler and went from that corner to the tick mark all the way around. So then let's go back. We were at number 3. Let's go on to number 4. And you see what this is? It's making squares. It's making squares. So now we're back up on the 3rd line, and that one is just like this one. So see how that one was in the middle and it was an X? Well, this one is in the middle on this section. And it'll be in the middle here and here. Alright, so we've got that drawn. Now we'll all the way back up here. The one I was telling you about just now. Alright. And we're going to go up to the 4th line, and that one will be from the top right to the bottom left, or bottom left to the top right. We're making another square. Is what we're doing. See that? I cheated. Instead of going over there, I wanted to show you this square. Get my big head in the way. All right. You see that square? All right, so we've got that one already drawn. So we need to go here, and we're going to make another square right there. See, we went across through there, and now back up at the last one. That's where we made our square, and we're going to make that one That one's going to be the X again. Okay, then we're going to finish this square. See that? We're going to finish this square. Oh, look at that. Now, my arms need to be a little bit longer, or I need to stand on the stool. I had to crawl up on top of that table. But I didn't want to move my paper. I wanted it to stay in place. Okay, so there's our pattern. You see that? Now I'm going to draw it on my board, and then we're going to come back and start painting. And I think this one is simple enough to, I won't need but one video for this one, where the other two I had to do 2 parts. Well, I think I ended up with that hummingbird, maybe 3 parts. I just kept showing you different things, but for this one, I think that we can do it all at one time. I'll show you my colors. After I get my pattern drawn on my board, I'll show you what colors I'm going to use. Be back in a flash, or 2 flashes. Okay, I'm not sure you can see my pattern or not. I drew that in that red heat erasable pen, so I think you can see it as I go along, but I want to show you my colors in case you've already got your pattern drawn, or you took a snapshot of the one I had. It might be easier if you're looking at that at the same time you're looking at this one, but I think most of you guys probably will just skip this part and go ahead and paint yours the way you want it. But I'm going to show you my colors, and you're going to think, oh my goodness, she's gone crazy. But I'm telling you, when I got that one finished for my friend, it was so pretty. So the middle block is going to be Island Orange, and there's a couple of other blocks that'll be orange as well. Then around the block, the heart, not hearts, but the little arrow shapes here will be black, and there's some other black around it, included in it too. And then around that will be English Daisy, and then some of the blocks will be Deep Space Blue, Succulent Leaves green, Royal Navy, it's a deep blue color, dark, like a, well, navy blue. And then I'm going to add Cut Ruby Red. And that is just going to be so pretty. Well, I'm going to put the orange on and come back and show you that. I'm not sure I'm going to show you taping and all that on this video. There's some other ones that I've shown that on, so I think this one is going to be a little bit quicker. Okay, look. I put 5 blocks or spaces in orange. Not one of them peeled. I am so tickled over that. But I tried to slow down. I put real thin coats. I put 4 coats. I just felt like when I got that third one dry, I could still see through it a little. And the fourth one just really made the difference. But again, it was real thin coats. And I went slow, except for up at the top. You can see where I got a little bit off kilter there with my tape. You know, I'm cutting my tape in half, so it's not very wide, but I'd rather do that. I can cover that up with the next color. It's not a problem. So I think the next color that I'm going to put on is going to be yellow. And you'll see it here if you can, I think you can see it. I went ahead just for my own sake, because I'm using these heat erasable pens. I don't think that I would have done that if I was using a marker or a pencil or something that I had to erase. But with these heat erasable pens, I mark the colors in each one of my spaces so that I could kind of keep up with it. And on this particular quilt, it's easy to color all the same color spaces at one time. Like these 5 are the only orange that I'll have on the quilt. So now I'm going to do all my yellow. And when I get back, or when I get finished, I'll show you that too. Here we go. We have our yellow. And I had to go ahead and put this on my Lazy Susan. I'm too short to reach the top up here when I'm trying to paint. And so I went ahead and put it on that Lazy Susan, and I'm going to try my best to keep it on my little line here so I won't get out of frame. So, you know, I told you guys I was going to put English Daisy right there. And when I started to put it on there, I realized it was just a little bit too dark. So I changed it to Honey Glaze, which is just a lighter yellow. It's not much different than the English Daisy, but it is just a little bit lighter. So that's what I did. Now the next one I think I'm going to put on is the red corners. And then red, let's see, I have red here, 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 and here. So I'll be back when I get that finished. Okay, I've got the red all painted, and I think it would have helped me if I'd have put a gray coat of something underneath it, but it worked. I put 5 coats of red and it didn't peel. That's what I was afraid it was going to do with 5 coats. But you see, I had 2 little boo-boos and I'm fixing that. And some people ask me if they should fix their little mistakes as they go or wait to the end, and I say it's whatever you want to do. Sometimes mine are little and they bother me the whole time I'm painting if I don't fix them. And then other times, if it's something real intricate and, you know, like a Lone Star or something like that, it's just, to me, it's just easier to spend 2 or 3 hours going through every little blot and fixing it than to do it one at a time. And then that way I only have to squirt a little bit of each color in my little tray, and I'll just fix one whole color at a time. Okay, I've got more taped up now. This is going to be navy blue. It's Royal Navy is the name of it. And it's that, you know what, I'm not going to tell you what kind of paint it is, because I think I know, but what I'm going to do is put all the paint down in the description for this video, and I'll put whether it was Valspar or Behr, and what brand of Valspar it is, because some I've got Season Flex and other is that Duramax. But anyway, I'll tell you in the description in case you want to know. And my tape, I use Delicate Surface. It's by Scotch, and I'm cutting it in half. You can see that, and you have to be kind of careful with it when you do that if you're going to get heavy with your paint. But anyway, let me put the navy blue, the royal blue on, and I'll be back. I don't think it's going to take that much longer to finish this. See you in a minute. Good morning. Came down here to pull the tape off of my Royal Navy, and I've done that. I was on the phone and I pulled that wrong. I didn't take it one strip at a time. I tried to pull it from that way. Anyway, messed it up. My own fault. So when you're putting thin coats on, you still have to take your time pulling that tape off. You can't just rip it off. You've got to take your time, and your results is going to be so much better. And I wanted you to pay close attention to my lines. Now, I don't know if any one of them's either better than the other one, but you see this line? They touch each other. There's no gaps between it. And you do that by, if I wanted to paint this, I just barely let a tiny, tiny little bit of that blue show through so that I know I won't have any white gaps between it. And then when you burnish the tape down, it seals it up, and you won't have any leak or bleed through. If you do, it won't be very much. But then when you pull that tape up like that, like here it is, and you pull it away from your color. I let mine completely dry. 3 or 4 coats, I let them dry, and then I let this cool down a little bit. You don't want to pull that tape off while it's still warm. If you're using like a heat tool like this. Now, if you're just letting it dry on its own, you're fine. But I like using that heat tool, and I can finish and get on to the next quilt. If you're like me, you're painting one, thinking about the next one. Okay, we have our black to do, and we have deep space and succulent green. And we'll be finished with our 1.5 squares. Now I'm going to I think I'm going to put the green on next, here and here. I'll put that on, and then I'll come back and probably do the black next. I hope you're enjoying these colors. They're starting to stand out, right? That's the way it happened when I was doing that 3x3. Okay, I'll be back. I wanted to show you guys something. I think in other videos I may have shown you this, but just in case, you see these 2 triangles. I'm going to paint both of them at the same time. And I use this little paint scraper, glass scraper. I use this little tool. I don't know why, that's just my favorite thing. I've used different things like putty knives and different kind of other blades, and this one just seems like it just fits my hand good, and I can get into the tightest little places with it. But let me show you what I'm doing. So I'm putting my tape down, and I'm letting just a tiny, tiny bit of that show. A little bit. And I'll come back and burnish it with the card in a minute, but I want to show you how I use this little thing. I just line it up with this one and that one, and then just pull it, and I've got a clean edge, so when I paint this, I don't get it on the orange or the Royal Navy, and I've got a clean edge, and I can paint both of them. So let me show you this one. do it again. So I'm lining that up here. And then I'm coming over here and lining it up with that at the same time. Letting just a little tiny bit of that show. Just a smidget. And see, I can come back here and I'm going to line it up and pull it. You see that? And then I can just put my tape across here. I don't even have to worry about that corner anymore. Those triangles coming together. And you can see it, how I've done this one the same way. Now I'll finish this one and get that one, and I'll get the green on and I'll come back. Okay, y'all, look, I've got the green on. I thought about putting the black on next, but I think I'm going to put the deep space and liven it up a little bit more. Then I'll put the black. You know I'm waiting on that, don't you? Because that's going to be, I think that's going to be the hardest one. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Let me get finished and then I'll come back. I wanted to show you guys this. I can't remember when the last time I talked about it. But can you see how I have my tape right into that angle, into that little corner here? And you see how I can see through my orange, my lavender tape. I can line this up, and so I know that I've got it all lined up. It's going to be a really straight line, and it'll be a really straight line here because I can see through it. And I know I've got that tape right into that corner. That's just another reason I like this tape. It's good tape, it works well, but I like that I can see through it. I don't know, that just helps me know where I am. And that helps me get these real clear, crisp, even lines. And I like that. When I was teaching classes, there would be one student just about every class that would say that they just didn't care if there was white lines in between their colors, that they didn't care if the colors touched each other, that it would be gaps. And I'd say, but don't you want to clean that up? I'll show you how. No, it don't matter. It's going to be up on the building. Nobody will ever see it. And I'd always say, well, I'd get a ladder and climb up there and fix it. I couldn't stand the thought of it being up there like that. So, the same goes for not getting a real smooth coat that you can still see your board through it, or you can see your brush strokes through it. You know, your art, your way, but it would drive me up the wall. So I'll be back in a little bit. Look at this. Got all our colors on except for the black. And you know, you really could leave it like that and it'd make a pretty barn quilt, wouldn't it? But I'm going to go ahead and finish it because that's the way I did the other one, and I really like that, so I am going to go ahead and put the black on. But you really wouldn't have to, because, you know, that's pretty just like it is. You'd have to paint that white, but, or you could paint it any other color you wanted, purple or whatever. But anyway, I'll finish that up and I'll come back and we'll be finished. And I'll show you what I'm going to seal it with. You've probably seen that in other videos, but I'll show it to you again. And remember, I'm going to put the paint colors and the brand down in the description. And if you have any questions at all, just comment and ask me, and I'll try my best to answer them. And click the subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you'll know when I upload the next video. Alright, let me finish up and I'll come back with that sealer. Okay, we've got her all taped up. Getting ready to put that black on. And I'll show you again in just a minute. I'm not sure if I can get you down close enough to see this or not, but I wanted to kind of give you a little tip about taping. Another little tip about taping. Let's see. There you go. I think you can see that. You see how, I think you can see it. When I came down through here, you see these little places where like the Royal Navy and the red meet here, and then the green and the yellow. So you've got this little, kind of a tricky little spot right in there. Well, I came down with my tape, and then this one I came up with, and instead of cutting it right on that red, I overlapped it a little bit right here. Can you see that? And that will keep this black paint from bleeding through that line. If I just met the line, just like end to end, you may still have a little gap in there, and that black paint would get through it. But by overlapping these little places like that, I've taken care of any fear of it bleeding through. So I just wanted to show you that right quick before I started painting. And almost done, y'all. Okay, I've got it on there, and I thought I would start peeling the tape. And if the video gets too long, I'll just speed this part up a little bit. But this is always the fun part for me, is taking that last tape off and being finished. And I thought maybe you guys would like to see that too. Got a boo-boo right there. It's the only thing about cutting that tape so thin, but it just saves so much more tape. Ooh, did you see what was happening? Look at that. It started to peel on me. That's what happens if you're not paying attention when you're peeling tape off. You could rip it bad. At least I stopped it when I did. I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to get a hold of this bottom piece. And I'm going to start pulling from the bottom. Mercy. There it comes. See if that'll, if I had just kept on pulling, I would have pulled that half of that piece off. Stopped that, didn't I? This is what I talk about, touch-ups. And then I touch up my touch-ups. And I wait till the next day and come back and touch up some more. Okay, here she is. First round of touch-ups are done. And I'll come back in the morning and do more touch-ups to it before I take the picture for the YouTube video thumbnail. But I wanted to show you how it turned out. And again, it's called Square and a Half. Now, I will let it set for 2 or 3 days. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a chemist, but in my mind, I feel like the paint needs to cure for a couple of days before I put any sealer on it. And so when I seal it, I'm using this spar urethane. It's got to be water-based now. Might not have to be the same brand, but it's spar urethane, water-based. And I found this, it works, and I'm not going to change it unless they go out of business. But I like satin, and some folks use the semi-gloss, but I'm using semi-gloss paint. So I don't know why, I just like the look of the satin on top of that. And I use exterior paint. And like I said before, I'll put the description in the bottom. Well, I'll put the paint, the names of the paint and the brand in the description. It's like, now that we're finished, I did want to show you something. Okay, you know, I just showed you about the spar urethane. Well, I found this little roller that I'm going to give it a try on this barn quilt. It says that it's for paints, enamels. It says all paints, enamels, varnishes, and urethanes. So I'm going to give this a try. I use a 4-inch roller already, and it works fine. But I've heard people saying that they have trouble with their roller leaving little fibers on their barn quilts. And now I've never had any trouble with that. But this one, given it says it's for urethanes, I am going to try. This one feels like it's kind of a combination of a sponge roller and a cloth roller. I don't know, it just feels different than anything that I've ever had and used. So I'm going to give it a try. I'll let you know about that one in the next video. See you guys later.